we are up to Mishnah Base, cover Sameis. Okay. Who wants to say?
Cover SMS.
Yes.
וחזור. אם יכולים להסחר ולגמר עד שלא יגיעו לשורה, יסחילו. ואם לאו, לא יסחילו. So we're not dealing with the aftermath. We said that they had the Torah before the Gvura. Now we're talking about what if there's time after the Gvura. The Torah does not apply anymore.
No, the only mitzvah remained is Nichol Avelos, right? Nichol Avelos.
Yeah, well, this is Nichem. Yeah.
Now, right, so now we pass the step of the Gvura, now we're up to the new mitzvah of Nichum Avelim.
So cover Sameis identifies what?
Other mitzvahs are over. Whatever we had before.
But more, cover Sameis is an introductory statement by Mishnah.
Next citation. It's next citation, different citation.
The next stage.
I mean, same story, but...
In the funeral process, this is now the last stage. So that's important. The concept of stage, or phase. You know, in the funeral process, right? We are now up to stage 4. We had, before the mace, we had the pallbearers, then we had the malavim, and now we have the aftermath. He's buried. Now what happens? Okay, good.
So if they have time to start and end before they get to the Nichum Avelim place, they should say Kashma. And if not, they shouldn't. So, in contrast to what we said earlier, earlier we were talking about the mitzvah of Kvura Sames. Now we're talking about the mitzvah of Nichum Avelim, which is also in the Torah. Earlier we said that as long as you may be needed to do the mitzvah of Kvura Sames, you're patur of Kirashima. And here we say that it all depends on whether or not meaning you know where you're going, you know where you're heading, you know how long it takes you to get there. And basically if you have time to say it, you should say it. If you don't have time, you shouldn't.
So who is this talking about? Who's
the shura is standing.
Who?
The shura is standing, they're not walking.
Is this the shura or these people walking to make a shura?
Shura.
Members to be of the shura.
Who? Those people that will ultimately compose the shura.
But they're already in the shura. And
Well, is this, no, they're not actually a gila shura. You know what I'm saying? What are we talking about here? What's the case?
They come to
The
the shura.
Resha is arriving to the shura. The Seifa is at the shura.
It would seem so, yeah. Right?
So who has time till
Actually,
when?
I think the shura. So who's it talking about? Talking about the people who will make the shura?
Yes, we're talking about the Melavim. The Melavim come back and form a shura, and then Avelim pass through that shura.
So Avelim are waiting? I mean, what time are we talking about then? I understood it differently. What time are we talking about? The Shema, if it's enough time for what exactly?
To walk back to the shura. I mean, as you're walking, do you have enough time?
So while they're walking, they're saying Shema on the walk? On the go?
So you have to be, if you're walking, just see that you're analyzing the situation. Do I have enough? Does it look like they're like way back there?
No, Avelim already waiting, I guess. Avelim waiting. Shura is being formed.
But they're about to make the shura for the Takuma, for the consolation of the Abba.
Right, so Shura is being formed.
The Abba is like way back there. He's not close to arriving yet. So it looks like you got some time, so you can say Kriya Shema. But if he's mamash close, he's like almost coming to where you need to be making the lines, and you have to start the shore right really quick. You shouldn't say it. That's what he's saying. It seems to be the pshat of that. You know,
Yeah.
it's a judgment call. Do I have time to get into line before the Avelim come, or I don't have time to get into line? I mean, you're out there and you're analyzing the situation. You have to. It's your call.
So what exactly is the case here? What's the case here? That's the first thing you have to ask yourself.
The case is we're done with the Gvura.
What?
In the case when you can reach it, okay? In the case when you can't reach it.
Who? Give me the full case. Who are we talking about?
Talking about the Melavim. They are not turning into the Menachamim.
The Malavim, okay. So what does it say exactly?
So what it says is that after they finish the step of the Kavura,
Yeah.
the Melavim are not going to turn to being into a Shura to be Menachem Abo.
Okay, so we're talking about these Malavim.
These Melavim that were by the Kavura,
So they're now walking to do what? To make a
to
shura.
make a Shura.
Okay, so what does it say?
So it says that if they have enough time
Yeah.
to say Shema or the first pasuk, depending on Mefarshim, walk back between the place they were, between their position by the Kavura to their position at the Shura,
Yeah?
then they should say. They should say Shema.
Yeah, they should say Shema.
Right.
Okay.
And if not, then they should not.
But if not, it means if they'll reach the place of shura before, then they should not say Kriya Shema.
Correct.
Yeah. You know. So obviously one of the considerations is, what are we talking about? The first pasuk, first parsha. So
Right.
there seems to be a difference of opinion here.
Yeah.
You know, is it the parsha achas? Is it the first pasuk? He brings down its machlokas. You know, what's the principle? Are we going to say people walking to make a shura are not involved in a mitzvah? What's the principle? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Because if it was Isaac mitzvah, they'd be potter.
Which is strange because they're getting to the shura. It should be, according to our understanding, it should be also be mitzvah, really.
It should be.
Yeah, according to what we said before. I mean, a couple of Mishnayos.
Yeah. So why is it that if you go from the graveside to the shura, whatever distance that is, let's say it takes 5 minutes. Okay. So why are you chayav Kriya Shema? Why are you chayav? In other words, if they can begin, if they can say Kriya Shema and end before they get to the shura, they're chayav. So we don't say Isaac mitzvah.
But
Right.
it's interesting, when they're by the shura,
So that's my question. Is this a mitzvah? As long as you're at the funeral, is there's an involvement in funeral? As covered on mace, right? So why are these people chayav?
Because in Oisig Mitzvah we have a dinner where you could do Efshel Kam Shneim,
Go ahead.
where you have one of the parameters of Oisig Mitzvah, the P'tur, is that if you can, however, but not at the expense of one, complete the other one,
Yeah.
then you.
but you don't
are
have
free
to.
do that.
It's an option. It's an option. You don't have to.
But the thing is, the mitzvahs are changing here now. You first had the mitzvah of kavod and mace and burial of the mace and so forth. It's done. It's buried. Over. Okay, that mitzvah's gone.
Well, is Nichma Velim not also covered in mace? Why would you want to say no?
That's
Isn't
really
it
more.
all, isn't it all covered in mace?
I think that has to do more with the veil itself.
I would
You know,
imagine.
God,
that-
who are you comforting? You're comforting the mace or you're comforting the veil?
You're saying there's no
I
mitzvah
think-
Nichma Ve'el
I
until
think-
they get to the Shura? And before that time you're already Mekurim and
Hard to
Krishna.
say. I mean, you won't imagine that covered in mace is
Okay.
the complete funeral process. The whole thing, you know, it's covered in mace. I mean, you're actively involved, in his burial, or setting up the burial, in the burial, and now going to form the shura. It's all part of the cover of this person who died. I would say, it seems so, right?
Yeah, that's the way it is.
So then why they? Also, you're right. You have a point. That
then-
as oisik b'mitzvah potem en mitzvah. You're right. I mean, you
No,
know,
but it's optional. He doesn't have to.
But still, so why is the Melave in the previous Mishnah, who was Melave, he's still involved in Kavod and Mace, but there's different levels of Kavod and Mace. So the Melave is Chayav in Kriyas Shema. There's only the pallbearers that were Chayav, or anyone that's involved in the pallbearing, whether before or after,
Yeah.
someone who was
So
really
then
involved
what-
in it. But someone's just walking on the side and just helping, walking along and giving Kavod to the Mace. He's still Chayav in Kriyas Shema.
Yeah, but the
That was
question is
last
why.
Mishnah.
The question
So
is.
why is this any better?
What was introduced-
This is even further away from that.
Yeah, but the question is, what was introduced before? Two principles, either oisik b'mitzvah potem en mitzvah, or covenant mace. Those are two fundamental explanations, right? Remember what I said last time, which is very important. The key is the principle, and a case is nothing more, or the din of a case, it's nothing more than the manifestations of the principle in action. You know what I'm saying?
If this were Kavod and Mace, then they should be Patur.
Exactly. That's the
So-
question.
so I'm saying
why
that's
is
why
this
it's
not
not
covenant
careful.
mace? That's all.
That's the reason, because they're Patur. They're Patur, and therefore they couldn't
No,
be
the
idea-
chayev, the chayev,
Well, I don't know.
right? Because in Yaschilu, if they can start and finish before, then they're chayev. But the problem is
That's
covered
only
a
the-
maze would mean that
But if you don't get, but if you're still malave, but you don't get to the shura, you're not, you got plenty of time to get to the shura, so why?
do you remember we learned that
Why did suddenly Kavod may suddenly leave?
So
Wait,
you
well,
could
that's my
finishes when he's
question.
buried.
What?
Now you have good, like we said, now you do have a new mitzvah. That mitzvah is finished, and now it's Nicham Avela. Why are you saying Nicham Avela is covered a mace?
It's all covered a maze.
Covered a mace is to
To-
see that the mace gets a
Well,
big burial.
When you console mourners, right? In essence, you're consoling mourners because the death of that individual is significant. That's why you're consoling mourners.
I think the Rambam says if there's no mourners, a person should sit down.
You appoint them all.
You appoint mourners.
If there are no more, you appoint mourners.
Right.
If there are no mourners, you appoint mourners. What does that mean? Appoint mourners. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Meaning, you do nichum, you appoint a mourner, and you make a mourner, and you make.
Who does really
you
say?
Nichum Aveni.
I think it is something.
Why? I'm not getting
Because
the
of
case.
that.
I'm not getting a K. Because of what? Covered a mace?
Yeah.
Yeah. Covered a mace doesn't mean, we learned before, right? We learned before that Misha Mesa Mutalufana, remember that? He's potter, so and so forth. So, Bishlama, that's good for those guys who are trying to get him buried. What about the other mourners that are not trying to get him buried because they're not involved in that, So are they also potter? And the answer was, and they're not always b'mitzvah. Remember we cover, you remember the Misha Mesa? So the reason why, no, they're potter. Everybody's potter.
And that's what I
Why?
mean, yeah. No, look,
Because of covered amaze. It's not oisik b'mitzvah, but they're potter because,
the
it's not
Malave?
covered. No, I'm talking about Misha Mesa Mutal Lefonov. The mourners themselves.
Sorry.
The mourners themselves. Remember we had that halacha, the mourners themselves. So why? Because it's not covered amaze that all of a sudden you're thinking you're saying Kriya Shema or other stuff. You should be preoccupied with the death event. There's a preoccupation with a death event shows the significance in the one who died. Look at it that way. You know what I'm saying? Again, the preoccupation with a death event of an individual, you know what I'm saying, shows the significance of that individual who died. That's covered amaze. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't make a difference at which point. Covered amaze means as long as you're involved in the death event with any activity that shows what? Significance of the one who died, that's covered amaze. So we learned before that the guys, even the Avelim, either they're not oisik b'mitzvah because they're not occupied, they have the other mourners, let's say the couple of mourners. But we answered covered amaze is a principle. You see? That you cannot occupy yourself with, and covered amaze, by the way, is a mitzvah. That is a mitzvah. So the question then is, you know what I'm saying? Why are these
but there
people
seems to be a
potter?
certain level
Or
of-
chayiv?
But there seems to be certain levels of kavod and maze that would allow you to be exempt from Kriya Shema and make you
I don't know.
have a Kriya Shema.
I don't know. What
we see
levels
for
are
those
there?
halachos.
Yeah, but
Clearly, there's
no.
distinctions here.
No, you're putting the cart before the horse. You can't do that. The question is a question, right? So you can't say, well, since there's a question, obviously this must be the answer. No, we don't know if that's the answer. Just because the question doesn't mean that's the answer. You know what I'm saying?
No.
What did you say?
The point, you have certain halachos and different events involved in the funeral procession.
Yes.
And each person's participation is at a different level in terms of, if you want to say kavod mace or in whatever the mitzvah you want to say.
Each one
it is.
has a different type of participation.
Right. Each one has a certain level of participation,
Yes,
which
but that's the
the
question.
sages deemed that this level of participation indicates that they're
No.
exempt, and this level of participation says.
But why?
they're chayav.
That's the question. Why? Any preoccupation with the death event itself is a significant cover to the mace.
Well, there's two.
So it doesn't make a difference if it's the Avelim,
You're
the
involved
Paul-
in mitzvah, you're patur from mitzvah, or you have the idea of kavod and mace. But if you want to say kavod and mace, then you need to march it through the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. Covered on mace is a mitzvah, min Torah. So the question is here, why? Why you chayev? Because even the malabma involved in it's not just oisik b'mitzvah. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that, okay, if it's kavod and mace, then why is the person who is in the shura any better than the guy who's, let's say, get to the sefer. Why is the guy who's on the inside of the
What's it come
shura?
away?
Are we
Yeah.
talking
Why
about
is-
the Avelim, or are we talking about the people who are going to make the shura? Maybe we're talking about the Avelim.
That's what I thought, but I don't think so. I mean, he seems to learn it's not the Avelim, it's the people that can make the shura.
Where do you see that?
Because it says
No, the Bartanur doesn't say that.
What? Does it say by you?
Tanchumei Avelim. It says is
Tolim
Me'atera.
b'shura hapnim paturim hachitzonim chayuvim.
That's the next step. The first.
Well, that's
the
the name.
beginning.
Those
Okay,
are
but that's in the shura itself.
So before
No,
that,
Forget even arriving to the shura. In the shura itself.
who. That's what I asked. Who does im yecholim lig mehatzchalim? Oh, for
I
refer
could
to.
tell you.
who's
I could read you the Rav. The Rav says
Yeah, Rav is very brief.
Shehayu oisim. Right? What did it say? Shehayu oisim. Shosho saviv avel nachamoi b'shom me'akever. So what are we talking about?
That's not clear from the Rav. If you're talking about the
It's not clear, we don't know.
people who make
Yeah.
the shura.
You see, if it was the Avelim themselves, actually, that would be very good. You know, means if
Because they now became chayav in creation. And
although you can still ask. You see, that
Wait,
concept of kovra meis is always there.
Well,
It means
wait,
don't do
why
anything
is-
else and just be preoccupied with this funeral
I
procession.
think that you can't say that. It's not tenable because covered and mace clearly ends at the burial because once the burial, you're no longer an oinen, you're an ovel, and an ovel is now chayav all mitzvahs. He doesn't, but he's no longer an otter.
But
What difference does it make?
At the
the
kabura, the ovel he becomes
ovel doesn't make the
becomes an
shura.
ovel.
The
He's a
ovel
chayav
walks.
mitzvahs.
The ovel walks through the shura. What's the word? The ovel. The ovel is the one who's walking through the shura.
Right.
He's not making. He's not the one who's making the shura.
So who said
The
Who said
Mishnah
that?
the
We didn't
Mishnah
say
talking
it was.
about who's making the
Where do you see
shura.
that?
The Rav.
It doesn't say that either. Where do you see that in the Rav?
We don't know. I mean,
Because the Rav says, "Amakom shabo oisim hashura."
Yeah, the people who make the shura. He's just telling you that other people make a shura, and then the Avelim walk through it. That's all he's telling you. He's not telling you that we're talking about. I mean, it might be, but it's not from now. You can't tell me that he's talking about the people who make the shura.
And
Read the Rav again.
you see,
But if
the
you look,
problem is
right, because
ambiguous.
if you look at the sefer,
This phrase is ambiguous. Is it referring to the Avelim? So therefore, those people who are going to make the shura, until the Avelim get to you, you know, if you have time to say it complete before the Avelim get there, you can say it. But if not, then that would be very good.
But I would say it's not the Velim, it's the people who are making the shura
Okay,
itself.
I'm just
Why?
saying, but it's
Why?
an-
Yeah, but why? For why? Why do I say that? Because the sefer is indicating those who omdim b'shura.
Right.
No,
As
that
in-
He's talking about the shura.
no, that second halacha, right, is to tell you the premium and the
And
chitzonim.
that's right. The first is not
Right,
talking about.
but
Who in the
why?
shura
But why? But
has to
why?
say and not
Why
say?
in the ratio would he talk about the Velim and the Son?
Rabbeinu
You talk
Yonah.
about the people who make the shura who are not the Velim in the sefer. Why would you do that?
What?
everything's possible.
You have to tell you both halachas.
It would make more. It would make more sense that they were speaking about the people who were going to make up the shura, and then the second part, the sefer, would be now that you're in the shura.
That's
But
the
which
same
part of
thing.
the shura is more relevant? It would make more sense.
No,
You're speaking about
that's the same thing.
it would make more sense and more consistent with Rachel's sefer.
We can learn
who's
the
make-
whole. We could learn the whole Mishnah talks about the people in the shura. So first,
Right, that's what I'm
those, if you can finish before they get there, you should finish. If not, you don't do it. Now, but even in the shura, who has to consider before you get there or not? And that's what I mean. The Penim and the Chitzonim HaChayev, the Chitzonim HaChayev, even if they could finish, even if they could not finish by the time they get there, they're still Chayev. Why? Because there's no Nicham Avelim. They don't see the Avelim.
But this is my point. That's my point.
I don't understand what you're saying. I just,
The
that's what you're
Tosas
saying.
Yom Tov brings out Rabbeinu Yonah that says,
also-
"Lo
The question
yaschilu."
is, who does this refer to? What's the Gemara say?
The Tosas Yom Tov says, "Lo yaschilu."
Yeah.
Why can't you start?
Yeah.
That the Tanchumei Avelim is deraisa.
Who?
Tanchumei Avelim is deraisa.
Yeah.
That's the reason why you can't start. Lo yaschilu. So we are talking about the people who are going to do Nichum Avelim. I mean, it's hard to learn.
It seems like
Tosas Yom Tov-
It seems like the mitzvah that we're being osik in is switching from the Indian of kavora maze, the burial of the maze. Now you're switching to tachum, what's it, nichum avelos.
It is Nichum Avelim. That's what the whole
So
Mishnah is all
but
about.
that's the mitzvah. So you're either involved in that mitzvah or you're not involved in that mitzvah. That's
Yeah,
what-
so that's the first
It's
question
not-
is,
it's not
who
daf-
is the
kavod
subject
maze.
of this Mishnah? That is the question. Who is the subject of this Mishnah? Second question, what are the Gedorim of Kavod HaMeis? That's the second question. And those are two very important issues, right, in terms of this Mishnah. Right? Somebody's got to say something. Who
The Gemara doesn't say.
everybody's the one saying it's very vague. It's ambiguous. It could be either way, you know.
I think it's in Art Scroll too.
What?
Mesivta?
That's all we
Mesivta has to say.
But in terms of clearly they become after the Kura, we know they become no longer they're no longer Oina, but they're an Ovel. And Ovel
Yeah.
is now Mechuyev. So they can't be that covered in mace, which before stopped them doing other mitzvahs and stopped them even voluntarily doing mitzvahs. Now it clearly has to stop because they now are Mechuyev in mitzvahs.
No, but you're talking about two types of exemptions. An oinin is potter. That's a personal exemption, not because of oisik b'mitzvah. Yes,
Because of covered in mace. That's it.
but that's a personal
Because of
exemption.
who he is, not because of what he's doing.
That's right. And whereas the other people, right, the avelim would be potter, right, because in terms of what they're doing, there's a difference between the two.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? One is a personal exemption, the other is a situational exemption, right? So therefore, anyway, so that's the question. Who exactly? You can learn either way. Yeah, see? Cover samei v'chazru who, right? The avelim, yes. So im yichol lahaschav ligmor ad shelo yagil shura. If the people standing in the shura can finish before the avelim get there, yaschil, right? They should do it because the mitzvah of nichum avelim has not started yet because the avelim have not reached the shura. The imlav lo yaschilu, and then who in the shura is chayiv and potter. So the pnimim is potter and the chitzon chayiv. Learn that way, or you can learn that right. V'chozru doesn't refer to the avelim; it refers to the people.
Right.
You see now. So if on the way to the shura to make a shura, or the place they can make a shura, ligmor ad shelagil shura, so yaschilu, then they should say it. And if not, they should not say it, because they are busy now walking toward Nichum Avelim to get themselves ready for Nichum Avelim. And in other words, and once they hit the spot where they will be Nichum Avelim, they cannot say, they should not be saying Kriya Shema. So you can learn either way.
I would like to make a diuk maybe.
Yes.
The first Mishnah said Misha Mesu Muta Lefanav Patom Kashmar and Tefillah Mitzvah.
That's
So
right.
we're talking about singular. And then we went to plural.
Who is
Plural.
Mutlefanov?
Right, Patum Kashma. And then we talk about Noisei Mita as plural,
Yeah.
many people. So when Mishnah Beis is Kavres Hanes Bechazru, I would assume that we're going back on the Noisei Mita.
No.
I hope you agree with me.
Nice
So here
deal.
the deal.
When exactly does the mitzvah?
I don't agree.
When did the mitzvah to the Avelim? When exactly does the mitzvahs of
Which?
regular life return to them?
Which one?
When did they
The Avelim?
the Avelim.
After the funeral.
After
When
the
they leave
funeral,
that-
or like when they leave the cemetery, when they come back home?
No,
At
after
what point
the-
did they become mechuyev?
I
that's
would
important to know.
imagine when the mitzvah of Kurs HaMeis is over, then they would be after the shura, I think, maybe. I have to see what the halachas and hilchos
But if
HaMeis is.
it's after the shura, then why would you think this in Avelim is being talked about in the Resha here? Because clearly they're not chayav on any of
Because not if Michon Lahaschil refers to the Avelim, right? So who is the halach of Yaschilu lo Yaschilu? It applies to people in
But if they're
shura.
not mechuyev on the mitzvah yet,
Who?
the Avelim, the Avelim.
No, but there's a mitzvah of Tanchunim, isn't there not? And the people in the shura are mechuyev and Nicham Avelim, aren't they? We're not talking. If the Mishnah,
Oh, that's what you mean. Oh, I see what you're trying to say. Oh, I thought you meant that the Avelim were the ones who had to say Kriya Shema.
no. The question is.
Okay, now I get what you're saying.
Okay. No.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Now you see what
I
I
was
see.
misunderstanding what you were. I thought
Okay,
you meant
yeah.
the
Oh, you're
Avelim
doing the
were the ones who
Avelim,
had
that's
to
why you
say
say, yeah. No, it's clear, it's not referring to the Avelim. Who
But
is
you
the Cholim?
mean,
Haskell, is it?
you mean,
Well, that's the ambiguity. Is the Haskell referring to the Avelim? If they can say before they get to the... No, what am I talking about? Im Yichon LaHaskell refers to the Shura. It was Im Yichon LaHaskell Rigma Achelo Yagil. Who's Achelo Yagil Shura? Is it the Avelim Achelo Yagil Shura? Or is it the...
Understanding.
No, exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
Until they...
right, yeah, okay.
That's the question.
Yeah, it could be either, yeah.
Yeah. And it's amazing nobody says this, you know.
Is it would it make a difference?
Who?
Is after would it make a difference if
what?
they are now availing? If they're now availing and they're no longer einen, they are just as mechuyev in Kriya Shema as everyone else.
No, we're not talking
So
about
they won't be the same either way.
Well, I don't know. They're Oisik b'mitzvah. Why are they chayiv
The
Kriya Shema?
availing, how are they availing most of them?
They're in the funeral. They're in the middle of the funeral procession. Who's got time to say Kriya Shema?
But the funeral sofa, he's in the ground.
No, they have to go now through a shura
Yeah, it's
for
part of
people
the
time.
ceremony.
No, it's
Yeah,
part of the. It's part of the. The real question is the nichum, is the whole velum over when they write out the check to the funeral parlor? That's the question. Does that end the
That's
process?
when the real avail starts.
Write out the check. What?
That's when the avail starts.
That's when the real grief. Like, all right, $10,000. I will tell you something. If they were not available then, they're now available.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
it's opens another dimension.
What?
Opens another dimension.
Which?
Mamash.
When they pay a check?
Yeah, I mean now we have to consider another dimension. All the halachas now.
Yeah.
I see Chayav Shema after he said the check.
Yeah. Anyway, it's ambiguous, I don't know. I don't.
we can
Somebody's
consider-
got to say the case.
So we can consider two possibilities.
When you learn a Mishnah, the most important thing to know is the case.
Okay, it's machlokes.
What exactly is the case?
machlokes.
And then what's the din?
It's machlokas. Has to be machlokas. This kind of biggest cases has to be machlokas. It's always machlokas. In class rule, whenever you can't say two things, they say somebody says two
And
things.
the second thing you have to consider again is the second principle, which is kavod hameis. What are the gedorim, which means what are the conditions, the parameters, really is a better word. What are the parameters of this mitzvah called kavod hameis? When does it apply? When doesn't it apply? And when it does apply, under what conditions does it apply, etc., etc. I'm sure there's somebody who says something, but Oh, you're calling me Yochanan? Is that the Yochanan boys?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so the last halacha, the inner ones who could are part of Kriya Shema, and the outer ones are chayav, refers to the ones who can see. The ones who could see the Avelim. So the ones who could see the Avelim, they're chayav in nichum Avelim. The ones who cannot see the Avelim, because there's a row,
So
several
what
rows.
are they doing there? They're just for furniture.
They're there for.
They want to do mitzvah, but they want to do mitzvah, but they can't.
I mean, look, when we,
Well,
I was looking to be,
nichum Avelim is only if you can see the guy.
I was
and
looking to be
then he
fine.
looks at you and you menachem.
Means
But
they're
if
not.
he doesn't, if he doesn't see you, so what does it mean nichum? So they would be the only for kavod hameis, not for nichum Avelim.
Oh, okay.
anytime you have
Right,
these
right.
these gedolim that Achman Salah Niftar, you have the streets are filled with
Yeah, the field. Yeah.
people 5 blocks away can't see the mace.
No. Yeah.
So they're there for
Well,
Kavod HaMace.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So these are two very important principles. One is Oisik b'mitzvah Torah mitzvah, and the other is kavod hameis. So the question is, what are the parameters of kavod hameis? When does it apply and when doesn't it? Under what conditions? When it does apply, under what conditions does it apply? When doesn't it? And so on. You see, because those are clearly the two operating principles of this mission. Therefore, as they say, it behooves us to figure this out. Problem is that it's ambiguous. Nobody's really talking about this. Okay. Anybody say anything? Not really.
The Tosfos seem to brings that the mitzvah here is Tanchumi Avelim is Midoraisa, and it's Tanchumi Chesed.
So who's he referring to? Tanchum? Oh, so it sounds like he's referring to who? Not that Yagil means
The other people, because they're being Menachem.
Yavelim.
Not the Avelim, because the other people have the mitzvah now of being Menachem them.
No, actually Yagil is Shura. Who's the Yagil?
Because then it says Lo Yaschilu, they shouldn't stop. Who's the Yeh? It says, and then
Lo Yaschilim is the Shura.
Because it says,
because it's Tanchum Avelim. Yeah. So it sounds like Ad Shelo Yagil Shura could be. It sounds like those are the Avelim.
And he says, and then he ends up, well, he does from him as a there from the pasuk.
Yeah, then- But yeah, that would make sense.
That's what
Exactly.
Kohen makes. It's
So it sounds, according to him, that Veligma Ad Shelo Yagil Shura refers to the Avelim, and Yaschilu refers to the people in the Shura. And then it fits very well.
You know, here's another idea. You know, if you look at the Sefer, the Homdim Bashura, if you want to say that they're waiting for the Avelim to come,
Yeah.
if you're waiting for the Avelim to come,
Yeah.
then why aren't they already in the Shura?
Who?
The Melavim or whoever is going to be.
They are. It's talking about when the Shura is formed already. There is no halachic significance.
So why doesn't it say that in the ratio? Why do they say you're Homdim Bashura? Ad Shayagia. It should be phrased differently.
You know, I want to tell you something. It's very hard to answer those kind of questions. Why Mishnah doesn't say A. Mishnahs skip constantly. They skip necessary steps constantly. So you can't become a raya from that. You know? So it could be Kovrus HaMeis v'chozru, the people, and they made a shura. Im yichol lahaschel ligmo, that it's in that sense you're right. It would have to insert a statement v'osu shura, and they made a shura. Now the case is, if they can say before they arrive, not. Yeah, but I don't know.
I guess that's why you need the
I don't
Gemara.
rely from that. You
That's
know.
why you need the Gemara to figure out what the missing part is.
Yeah. Although you couldn't find anything.
No.
Okay.
So what's the principle of why they? What is the principle of why?
This would be a sikra mitzvah. If we learn they made a shura, and now the question: these people in the shura, can they say or not? So it depends where the avelim are.
And then
So the position of the avelim, or rather, the location of the avelim is the determinant of their saying nichum avelim or not. That determines.
Is that like a very specific principle, or is it?
No, that's not. It's
Okay, that's just rephrasing it.
A determines B would be a principle. Yeah.
I have the.
I mean, it's a funny. In other words, where these guys are, the guys in the shura, can they say or not? The determinant factor, right, is what's the location of the avelim vis-a-vis the shura.
Isn't that the case? Isn't the case is, let's say I give you a case A, where they cannot complete. Let's say they can complete
Yeah.
the Kriya Shema before they Avelim reach it.
Yeah.
So in the conduct would be they have to say it.
Yeah.
So then what's the principle?
That technically would be a principle.
But that's the case.
What is a principle really? A principle is an explanation, or that which determines. So the location of the avelim vis-a-vis the shura is a determinant of these people.
So simply,
That's not part of the
It's
case. It's not part of the case.
So it seems like if you have a drug.
Well, it's the case, but in the case itself, that's the fundamental, that's the pivotal idea in the case itself. So theoretically, that could be a principle.
Why would that be the principle? The principle says that the way I understand it, the principle says that if this pivotal idea of seeing or not seeing, location.
No, there's no.
One-
No, if they can get there or not.
I'm sorry, if they can get there or not.
That's the second
but
part.
why would that be, even if that determines, but this doesn't seem to me like the principle. The principle is, if they could reach it, then
That's the case.
then
Yeah,
that's the halach. That's
Yeah, I
the
understand.
conduct.
But remember one
That's
thing.
not really the principle, it's just the determinant based on it.
Well, it's not an explanation in terms of yaschilu, lo yaschilu. That's true, but it is an underlying idea that the determinant of all this. Remember, a principle simply. Oh, hi. But remember,
Why isn't the principle we said that if
just remember, a principle simply means an underlying idea.
But
Does that idea have to constitute an explanation?
we said it did?
That the two dinim in a principle. Is it
now
underlying?
you're splitting principle and explanation.
That's fine. I do it all the time.
The source, I mean,
Do it.
It's certainly the principle is that if you have a drug.
A principle, if you look in the dictionary, Webster's, Reb Webster, he defines a principle as an underlying idea. Now, does that underlying idea, can that be a determinant, or does it have to be an explanation?
Another question.
Doesn't sound like it could be either one.
Can there be a what's it called? A pivotal idea within.
You know what I'm saying? The difference between an explanation and a determinant.
And so far we've been using principle to say it explains the conduct in this case. Why the conduct is this in this case. It connects the case to the conduct. So if you just say...
that determinant doesn't explain
Determinant
why.
needs explanation. That's all.
Well, that's the shaila.
Yeah.
If you look at the Webster's dictionary, he defines a principle as an underlying idea.
So can there be a number of principles
So
within
therefore,
principles?
this qualifies as that. However, does the location that the location should determine does not answer why. So what? Who cares where these guys are?
Can there be a principle within a principle?
Oh yeah, no. I said that last week.
Why
2 weeks
isn't,
ago.
why isn't the principle that somebody who's Oisiv a mitzvah, but could still do another mitzvah, should do that mitzvah?
Because it's an optional. It was never a must. So we learned
Why is
it.
Kriya Shema not a must?
We learned it before.
I don't know. Could you say that again?
Why isn't the principle in this halacha that person that
Somebody's
Oisiv a mitzvah,
potem in a mitzvah, but
if he can do that other mitzvah without any no detriment of the first mitzvah, and there's no Yehoira, there's no Gaiva, which are the other halachas, then he has to say it.
Yeah.
The other reason, before we had reasons not to say because of Gaiva, that I could concentrate where no one, even though I'm osik with this, with being married or something else.
what are you seeking?
I see that the principle. It seems to me that the principle is
No. What are you seeking then?
I'm seeking the principle of this halacha.
Oisik mitzvah, potem in a mitzvah is a principle,
Right. But
and that determines what I should do. You know,
The
if I'm doing A, do I have to B? And the answer is no. Doing A, you do not have to B. Why? Because there's a principle. Oisik mitzvah A, potem in a mitzvah B. However, you are now asking what?
that this principle can be refined or further or added to.
It's putting a gather to the
Limited.
So your question is, wait a minute, what happens if I could do A and B at the same time? In other words, they're not mutually exclusive. They can be inclusive, right? So what are you really seeking? So you're asking yourself, well, why? Why is it if I can do B as the same time as A, right? I'm generalizing, that's much easier to see, right? Then why potter from B? I can do the both, and the answer is they're not potter from B.
And that's what this halacha is telling you.
Exactly.
So that's the principle of this halacha.
So
is
therefore,
that.
what are you really asking? And where would you go to seek the answer? You know? What you're seeking is a principle of a principle. That's number one. Which, remember, when we talk about that, there's principles, and underneath that there could be principles. But where do you seek the answer? Where do you look?
Don't look, think.
What do you think about? Okay, I'm with you. What do you think about?
It's a tough question.
Tough question. What do you think about?
They're trying to generalize the principle. So trying to see what.
What?
Trying to generalize the principle.
What's
Generalize it
the
more.
principle? Why-
Yeah.
No. Where do you look for an answer for this kind of question?
What do
So
you mean
first
by-
I'm telling you what you're doing. You're looking for a principle of a principle. Why is it if I can do A and B both, then I'm chayav in B? Normally if I do A and B comes, since I'm doing A, one mitzvah, I'm potter from B. That's the concept, you know? You know what I'm saying? But then the question is, but if I can do A and B at the same time, I have to do B also. See? So you're asking why? Which means you're asking the principle of that halacha. But where do you seek the answer? And the answer is? You need to go. Yeah, I can just see it. Just see Hollywood grabbing hold of this drama, the tension. You'd have to look at the whole concept of A patas B. Why? Why is it if I'm oisik in a mitzvah, I don't have to do a mitzvah? You have to think about that. Why? And the answer is, what do you mean why? It's obvious. I can't do two things at the same time. Why is that a chiddush here?
No, but we said that can't be because then that wouldn't be the principle. Obviously, you can't. do
No.
that.
So what I'm saying, think about this. What's the chiddush here?
Any
If I do
possibility of
A
principle?
and B arrives, yes? Now, right? And B arrives, right? Am I mechuyev to B? How can I do B? I'm in the middle of doing A. I can't stop A and do B. Why does B have more kedima than A? You see? So what kind of a case is it that I'm oisik in a mitzvah and I'm potzim for a mitzvah? Right? What's a chiddush here?
Why is it necessarily true?
No, that's the halacha. We learned that before.
But we're saying,
Uvelech toch vaderach. And you're going in your way. You know what I'm saying?
but you're saying that it's not physically, it's not possible to do B.
Exactly. So what? So obvious. What's a chiddush here? If I'm oisik in A, right, and B arrives, I can't do B. I'm in the middle of A. A B doesn't have a kedima over A, so that's obvious. Why does the Torah have to go out of its way to machadish this? Elamai, right? It makes no sense. What you know what I'm asking? So the case has to be what? I'm doing A, B arrives, and I can also do B. The Torah says, don't. You're doing A, even if you could do B. But that's exactly the opposite of the halacha. So give me the case of oisik b'mitzvah, potem mitzvah.
Then the principle.
Can I do B or not?
The principle can't be you don't do B because you can't, because you're engaged in A. You can't do B.
You can't. So what do I need? What's the chiddush here?
It has to be that you could do B.
You could do B, but if you could do B, you're potter. I mean, you're chayav. Yeah.
That's
So
what
then what's? Where does the halacha of? Where's the chiddush of oisik b'mitzvah, potem mitzvah apply? That is the question.
Of course, you can do B. You can do both, but you don't. That's a chiddush.
That's right.
So it's obvious.
You can do both.
Of course, it should. You don't have to. That's a chiddush. That's the whole point.
So, but we're saying that if you can do B, efshel l'kaim shneim, you are chayav B.
You can't drink matzah and drink
So
the
then
bread
where's the klal of oisik b'mitzvah, potem mitzvah?
We're not really saying it.
What?
I mean, we're trying to say it, but we don't mean it.
You see, the problem is that it's what I'm saying is that the problem is that the original principle is vague. What's the case in terms of B?
No, original case is very clear. You can do both, but since you're involved in this one, so don't for you. We can forget about second one.
You can do B.
Yeah, of course.
But we know that there's no din of oisik b'mitzvah after l'kaim shneim.
What do you mean we know? We know it from where?
No, that's the halacha. That if you can do B, A and B at the same, also even if doing A, but B arrives and now you can do B, you have to do B.
Without taking.
There is no halacha of oisik b'mitzvah, potem mitzvah.
In which case?
In any case, any B is any mitzvah that arrives.
Whenever you can do both without being.
Then you have to do B,
anything
yeah.
detrimental to the first one.
Yeah, then you have to do B.
Yeah, but what's mean? I mean, there's COVID on it, right? So take 2 minutes break and say Teshma, whatever, right? So
No, but you can't do both because a distraction is not covered on mace. That's the point.
So
The distraction itself is not covered on mace, and therefore you can't do B. No, that's EF shel l'kaim shneim.
Oh, it's EF shel.
Kaim shneim, yeah. So my question is, what's the chiddush of oisik b'mitzvah? Really, what's the case? Can you do B or not? If you can't do B, so what's the chiddush? What do you expect? A guy only had 2 arms. Yeah? And if you can do B, then we know it's chayav, so there's no oisik b'mitzvah. So maybe somebody tell me when does this apply?
No, the chiddush is that you don't have to take a break. Because who says, I mean, so take a break, it's a series A.
Why? B has,
so that's 1 minute.
The only time you have to take a break is when B has kedima. Why does B have kedima? I'm in the middle of doing A, excuse me.
No, because you, anyway...
I don't know, there's no kedima.
You have a time with hametz, right? So you take a break from it for 10 seconds, for 1 minute. It's not, who says you can take a break? Anyway, you're Mekayim a mitzvah. Just you take a break. Who says it's EF shel? The chiddush is it's still EF shel.
So what you want to say is you're introducing a case, right? What's the case you're introducing? What is the case of oisik b'mitzvah, potem mitzvah? I need a case illustration of that. So you'll give me a case.
The case is
doing
that
A, I do half A.
Interruption.
Right? In other words, I don't have to do. If I interrupt A and then A disappears, then clearly you don't have to do
That's
A.
portion. There's no chiddush.
Oh,
but
and
if
that's
it
my-
doesn't B, it just comes back.
But what happens if
So why
you
not
do
let
A and interrupt and do B and then go back to A?
Right. So it's just interruption break. Here is the chiddush.
Great. Very
Let's
good.
say by somebody.
He gave us a case, see? You hear what he did? You gave us a case. You know,
You
you
just
did
have
it.
to put chance.
What? No, put yourself down. No, so there's the case. in a case where B is impossible, in other words, if you do A and B arrives, right?
Can't do A.
And then A disappears, don't do B. That's obvious. But what happens if you can do A? A means A mitzvah, right? Mitzvah, right? And you can interrupt and do B and then go back to A and complete the mitzvah. Oisik mitzvah potter. You don't have to do that. You do not have to interrupt a mitzvah, assuming it'll be around later for some other
That's the
mitzvah.
Chiddush of what's-
That's the chiddush, exactly. Now, you see, very good, excellent. You hear what he
I
did?
think
He
you
got the
both,
case. What?
So now that you can do both of them.
Oh, so now let's go now to this case. So
Oh,
what
but
happens if you do
there,
both?
till they reach, it doesn't apply. There's no nichum till they're here.
Now you can do both. There's no interruption.
Right.
So why not?
It didn't.
You chayav both.
It hasn't started yet.
Yeah.
Till they reach.
So the tour of Oisik mitzvah is if
Only
there's
if there's an
interruption. But if there's no interruption, because that's what it means, I can do A and B at the same time, you're chayav.
Comes out beautiful.
Exactly. Isn't that nice? So but you see what?
Clarity.
But you see where did I go to answer his question?
Went
I had to
the
go
source of
back.
the original.
Exactly. I had to go back to the original and figure out what's going on
Because he
here.
introduced a stira. It's a stira now.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't.
That's right. You see what I did? I'm trying to show you what I did. The method of my madness. Whenever you have a question on a principle, or an exemption of principle, and you don't know
Examine the
why,
principle, yeah.
you need to go back to the principle itself, re-examine what is it, and then then you'll arrive at certain ideas about the principle, and then you go back to this, and you'll see that it gets answered.
It sounds like Ian.
Sound like who?
Ian.
Yeah. Wow. Real Ian. It's not just Ian's thinking. You see what I'm saying? Shimon, you hear the word. That's what happened.
We never had the principle clear. I just realized it now. We had it very big, but I thought we had it very clear.
Exactly. You hear the word. And so now it makes very beautiful sense. That Oisik mitzvah is only a concept in interruptions. But if you're doing A and you can't do B, of course you can't do. You can leave A, B can't do kedima. So what's the chiddush HaTorah here? Elamai, you could do B, so why not? The answer is, am I mechuyev to interrupt, even if later on I can pick up on A and complete it? No, you're not mechuyev.
It's detrimental in quantity, but not in quality.
Yeah, and then you can ask her, well, why? Why is that principle true?
Disrespect.
Maybe it's a bizoin to the mitzvah to have to interrupt it for another mitzvah.
I mean, like
They're not as potter, and it wouldn't be Isaac when I'm at this potter, then it would have to be that you're
Say
awesome
what?
in a mitzvah.
What?
It says Isaac wants a potter in a mitzvah. It
Isaac
makes it sound like
potter.
it's potter, but you could still do it. So if you tell me it's bizayin, then you shouldn't be able to. You should be forbidden to interrupt. We're saying you're not obligated to interrupt.
No.
Yours, you, according to
yeah,
bizayin, you have to say you'd be forbidden to interrupt.
Yeah, no, but
that's not our I don't think.
That's a good. No, so that was the question. What happens if you want to do it anyway? What happens if there's an A and I want to interrupt?
No, but we never resolved it really. No, because there was a question.
Well, and that was the question we had.
There's a case
By
where A would disappear.
Kriya Shema.
No, but this was a question of kedima. What kedima?
Chosten Potem is Kriya Shema. I wanted to read
No,
it.
because but it's
So that was the
different.
question.
It wasn't
What?
clear what
That's his
kedima is.
gaiva.
Yeah, no, but I'm not talking about if. Oh, yeah. That was exactly. Well, Rav Gamliel, exactly.
No, but Rabbi Gamliel, it was a question of kedima because he was involved first with that. The chasna came and interrupted him. It was the whole
Yeah,
thing.
so,
was,
yeah.
so it was different. We never resolved it really.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, that's great. See.
So it's like talking to somebody. Let me check email. It's like the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It could be disrespect. It could be. It's disrespectful. You're Isaac ben mitzvah, and you're.
It's a call waiting. I'll get back to you.
But why? What's the havamina that you should be able to interrupt?
You become both. This
No.
way you become one. This become both. You become two mitzvahs. Two is better than one.
What's the havamina?
That's a havamina.
Why if I do A, I would
Well,
think
what
that
if
maybe
it
I could
disappears?
interrupt
Because two is better than one.
Because I did do mitzvahs.
I became two mitzvahs. This way I become only one mitzvah.
The idea is to do Ratzon Hashem. That's essentially what a mitzvah is. So if I'm doing Ratzon Hashem,
What's the difference?
what's the difference?
Very good. That's exactly what I was thinking.
No, but still two
Yeah,
Hashem is
you
better
have
than one
it.
No,
Ratzon.
But I understand, it doesn't, I don't
Hashem's wrong, but each one needs to be doing Ratzon Hashem.
but
You're in the
Hashem's
middle
still
of
showing us.
one form of
What you
avodah.
said, I was thinking.
but the whole
Because
question-
the reason why I would think that if I can do A and even interrupt, So what? I'll interrupt. So what? And then Chaprayin B. You know what I'm saying?
I don't understand.
You know what I'm saying? And maybe it's a disrespect, but I would say no, there's no disrespect.
The question is
because
what
both
is-
of them have to be done because of Ratzon HaBorei. What's the difference if I do A or B? So the Torah tells me no. It's true, both are Ratzon HaBorei, right? But right now, if you're in the middle of a mitzvah, that's more my Ratzon than to interrupt and do another
Because
mitzvah.
who says Ratzon B is more than Ratzon A?
What?
Who says Mitzvah B is worth
Because I'm
more
oisik in it,
than
that's
A?
why. No, because no, that's the Chiddush.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the Chiddush.
But-
That A is more, you do A, don't interrupt, even if you can do later A. That's my Ratzon. You know what I'm saying? Because I would say, what's the difference? The main thing is do Ratzon HaBorei. So if I can interrupt and do B, like you said, in Chaprayin 2, why not?
Right.
And they're both Ratzon. The Torah says, no, it's true they're both Ratzon. And it's true that you can Chaprayin both. There's no way. You know, you're doing a mitzvah, focus on the mitzvah and do it totally. Total commitment, as they say.
So therefore, well, here's the, so if you're learning Torah all day long, so why do you have to interrupt to daven?
Well, that's was that a Mishnah? Rebbe. Rebbe, that's the whole thing. Rebbe was learning. What?
He didn't interrupt.
He didn't. No, yeah, he's part for the mitzvah. Yeah, that's a whole. What was that? Was a Mishnah? Gemara, whatever.
Shabbos.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Rebbe did not interrupt the. But so, and they say he used to go like that, and in a nanosecond he's able to say Shema Yisrael. You know. But in a Chanam, you don't have to. Oh, that's Shabbos time, of course. Yeah. You don't have to run. Yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
But he gave Mechabim properly in a nanosecond?
He was able to do it.
All you have to do, there's only the first pasuk to Mekabel.
Yeah, the first pasuk. Well, even here, the question is that we're talking about the first parasha or the first pasuk. So he brings it to Machlokes. The Rambam in so the Bartaner says Pasha Achas. You have to be able to begin and end Pasha Achas, and the Rambam says no. All you need to do is first pasuk, and then you're okay. If you do that, then start the pasuk, end it. That's good. So there's a difference in terms of what. So great. What I want to emphasize, what I said last week. Don't fool yourself about the case, because that's where everybody fools himself. What is who? Where everybody gets stuck is the case. They fool themselves. They just have this skimpy idea what the case is, and then they run for the lumbus. You know what I'm saying? But the truth is, many times when you examine the case, you really don't understand the case. And if you don't understand the case, how can you understand the principles? So always ask yourself exactly what is the situation, the case. You see. And then, once you have it clearly, then you begin to take that apart. You know. And if you have a problem with a principle, you have to re-examine the principle. You know, which is what we did. That's how we arrived at this. Fine. What's the central idea of this?
I mean, the nature of this principle, also b'mitzvah. This interruption thing. I mean, that's
No. The central idea will not be a principle. It will be a central idea of the cases. Unifying all the cases.
What are the conditions which exempt one from creation now when interfacing with Avilam after the burial?
Yeah, I'd say that's the case. Yeah. I mean, the central idea, yeah, would be the idea of
After the mace, after the Kippur.
yeah, it's all about Kriya Shema and the exemptions of Kriya Shema.
After the Kippur, though.
Well, that's the
Specific
case.
cases.
That's the case. But the central idea, yeah,
You said before that it was
Okay.
exemptions of Kriya Shema resulting from funeral considerations.
Yeah,
That was
that's
in the first Mishnah.
That's right.
It's the same. It's the same.
the same thing. Yeah, it would be the same thing.
Just post.
Because really, what's the difference between all these two Mishnahs? What's the difference between the two
During and
Mishnahs?
post.
No, well, that's the specific, but it's different stages of the Kfura. It's the funeral process. We're looking at different stages. Before the burial, during the burial. then making the shura, and then the shura itself. There are 4 different stages that the Mishnah discusses, and what is the halacha of Kriya Shema in each of those stages. That's really what so in that sense, they're really the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
One of the principles be this idea that a direct interface with the velum after the burial exempt them from Kriya Shema, whereas an indirect interface with them obligates one to say Kriya Shema.
So I don't know.
If you have a activity that directly interfaces with the velum, such as forming the shura, being in the line of the shura, you are exempt from Kriya Shema. But if you have an indirect interface, meaning like you're on the outside of the, I should say you're was the inside, whatever.
Chitzonim it's called.
Huh?
We haven't touched that part yet.
We're not.
Okay, but the point is, if you're going to the shura, you're not in it yet, whatever the case is.
Well,
or you're not.
Are you asking the question? Or are you trying to provide information?
I'm saying what the principle is.
The
idea if you have an indirect interface with the velum, in other words, they haven't come to the shura yet, so you really have no interaction with them at the moment. So there's no interface. So therefore, that obligates you to say a Kriya Shema. Whereas if they're already there, you have a direct interface, and therefore that's what exempts you from.
But what are you trying to answer? Something? I don't know what you're trying to do.
Principle. The idea of interface, direct versus indirect interface. With
what you're doing is not a principle. What you're saying is merely a case situations. In case A, it's this. In case B, it's this. You're not saying a principle. You're just elaborating on 2 different cases.
Okay.
That's fine, but it's not principle.
What is the difference in this Mishnah and the previous one for the din? In the previous one, we said whoever may be needed at any point in the funeral process, procession, should not say Shema. And here we say it all depends if you feel you have enough time, you don't have enough time to get to Nichum Avelim.
Well, that's what we said. That's a gather.
So why is that different? Why is the second case different?
First of all, they're different situations. Each one is a different situation. There's pre, mid, and post.
Right, but why is the situation of pre different than the situation of post?
It hasn't started.
I don't say the situations. You're not asking why the situations. It is different.
I understand it's different. Why is the din different?
The din?
Right.
Why is it? Well, you forget the din. Look at the principle. What's the difference in principle? And that determines the din.
I thought we had the same principle. Unless I missed something.
Interruption.
Okay, so let's assume so. So if the principle is Oisik B'Mitzvah,
Oisik B'Mitzvah in both.
So the Oisik B'Mitzvah will manifest itself differently pre-burial than post-burial or mid-burial.
Right, there should be a reason for that, right?
Interruption.
Yeah, I mean it depends on the situation. I don't know what you might have reason. You apply the principle to the situation, and you realize what the halacha is.
Right, so let's apply the principle to the situation of pre, and let's apply the situation of
and you'll
post.
come out with different halachas.
Are we going to come out with different halachas?
Well, it does come out. It comes out
interruption. There's interruption. Here there's no interruption because it hasn't started till they arrive till Toshura. Till Avelim come to Toshura. There's no nichum till they come here.
Yeah.
So there's no interruption required. So it doesn't start there. Interruption would be an interruption actually. Therefore, they don't interrupt.
Why is that an interruption? You guys are chilufei. Nothing started yet.
No,
they are actively carrying the casket.
The chilufei is the replacement of the replacement.
Yeah, so that's the question.
No, but the thing is going on.
So that's the question.
So
that's the condition.
What I'm saying is that lamita tzorech b'hem. The guy knows that within 2, meaning there's going to be a first group of people who are going to carry. He's going to be the second group.
First set, second set.
He's going to be a second set.
Okay, now what?
So he knows that every set takes about 5 minutes. So he knows he has 10 minutes.
So that
I don't see why should that be different? Why the chilufei of the first Mishnah should have a different din? I'm trying to apply the principle, the case.
Well, apply the principle. I don't think
why the should be different.
So apply the principle to that situation. If tzorech mita behen, therefore they're potter because oisik b'mitzvah.
But they're not oisik right now. They will be oisik.
No, you mean if they're now tzorech behen?
No, למיתה צורך בהם means...
Because they're focusing on being ready to accept the casket.
Not only when they're actually carrying it.
So why is that different by Nichum Avelim?
No, but somebody is carrying now.
The same thing. I'm
Somebody's carrying
focusing
now.
on
Just they're not carrying. Somebody else is
It
carrying.
depends on them.
So mitzvah is going on right now. It's not. There's here mitzvah is going on. There, nobody's doing nichum. Nichum hasn't started yet. He has started. Just you're not doing it.
That's your novelty.
No, that's what you said.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, it's they're actively carrying this meter, and it's going to get to you, you know. But there is, I mean, he's
I
right.
don't see what it
Nichum has
has-
not started. It hasn't
I don't-
started.
I
The
don't see
question
where's the difference
is, can you say Shema before it even starts?
Let's say it's a long shura, right? So you're at the end.
I mean,
But the fact that
It's same-
mitzvah
same
is
question,
going on and mitzvah is not going on has nothing to do with me.
There's a long shura, right? You're at the end. So till they come, all the shura, you could say 10 times Shema.
Right.
So you're not supposed to. If it started, somebody else already doing nichum.
what,
that's it.
your question is, why is the ones before the meter, why they potter? Is that what your question is?
No, my question is why? Yes,
That's what seems to be
I'm
right.
sorry. Yes,
Whereas over here, before they get to the shura,
you didn't
you chayev.
exactly. Right.
Is that your question?
So you-
That's my question,
So you have to
yes.
ask, is it where they could interrupt? They could do both. They couldn't do both, or they would have to interrupt. It's one of those three ways, right? You're saying if they couldn't do both, you would be asking that they wouldn't be mechayev. They couldn't say Kriya Shema before their turn. They had to focus when their turn is. They're standing right there.
Right.
If you say, if they could do both with no problem, you would say,
Right.
it's like this third case, that they would have to interrupt.
Which is our case over here.
Right, so we said, it's supposed to saying it's the same case. We're asking why you need the same case twice.
No, I'm not asking that.
No, they're different situations.
No, he's not the stira.
Obviously, there's going to be it's going to interfere.
It's going to affect
Interfere. It's
the,
not, they don't know. You're saying it's 10 minutes. Maybe it's not 10 minutes. Maybe they'll move.
maybe
quicker.
somebody will tire faster and.
No. But it's not a concern. Even if you know for sure it's not going to be faster.
You know
Still,
what?
the
You know
mitzvah
what? No, he's right. Because if I'm not sure what the ETA is going to be, like when is going to be my turn,
Okay, let's say it's a long
so I
shura.
can't concentrate. I can't focus
What do
on
you
the
say about long
Shema.
shura?
Yeah.
What do you say about long shura? Long shura, like 100 meters shura. It's a long shura. What do you say? For sure you have time till they reach to you. But they're already walking already in the middle. But it's a very, very long shura. What do you say?
I think with the preoccupation, if you're waiting to carry a casket,
Yeah.
you're preoccupied with about what's
It's
about
like
to
the
happen.
chassan.
Yeah.
The chassan is still
can't
driving
think
home
of
from the
anything
chassan.
because you don't know when it's going to arrive, and you're preoccupied.
Like Nichol Avelim, I know exactly. That's
Exactly,
how
you
long
see
it's
them
gonna take
exactly.
to get
No, but
there.
even if you
That's the
That's the answer.
But even if you know when it's going to arrive, let's say it's Keseder exactly. Even if you know, it's not the point. The point that started already. It's going on right now. Even if you know for sure it's going to take another 5 minutes, still you're not supposed to wait.
Because you're running the other way. There's two ways of learning the Mishnah.
If you charge.
Yeah, in terms of what I was saying, like,
No,
yeah, let's
Because
say,
they do the truth.
let's say you got a shura that's a few blocks long.
Let's hear this last.
You're already on the inside of the line where you could see them, but you know they're not going to get to you for half an hour.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're chayav or putter from Kriya Shema?
No, you'd be chayev. That's when they ask chilu.
But you're on the inside of the line.
Well,
I think the main.
Wait.
No,
You're on the-
why?
but you're on the inside, you're already there, you're in the line.
Somebody
and you're
already
on the
doing it.
inside.
And you
That's
chayev.
also in Tefillin.
why?
Because you have time before.
Because you have time to do it.
What's
You're not preoccupied with the nichum. When they get there, you'll do nichum. But here, you're preoccupied when you're about to carry a casket. You know, you don't exactly.
But you don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, but you know, it's like you're anxious that you're not going to drop the thing. It's like a.
Or you're anxious
it's
you're gonna
almost-
miss. You're gonna miss your turn.
Maybe, yeah, you miss your turn.
But depends how
By
to run the
Avelim, they're
Mishnah.
not gonna start racing. They're all Avelim walk at the same pace.
But depends how to
We
run the
have,
Mishnah really.
to sum up, okay, we're, because we only have another 5 minutes, that's it, you know. Okay, so I hope that, you know, in with all these Mishnayos, you begin to see, you know, first of all, always analyze the case clearly. Know exactly what the case is. That's very important, okay? Then the second thing is, you know, what's the principle of this case? Why is this halacha, or rather the din, in this case? So principle is an underlying idea. But an underlying idea of a principle, right, can have another principle underneath that. You have a series of principles. So don't be fooled if you arrived at one principle, and no, there may be another principle underneath that determines the principle, which now determines the case. So that's very important. Also, always try to generalize. The more specific you are, the less you will have clarity. The greater the generalization, which means look at something and say, okay, this is an expression. What's the generalization? How can I make it more universal? And then you'll be able to apply that to many, many other areas.
That's the
key
central
to
idea
thinking.
area.
The central idea is the central idea of the cases.
It's not generalization.
Yeah,
Central idea area. That's where the generalization starts
yeah.
happening.
But but usually, usually you'll generalize a principle. You look at a principle and you generalize that, and then you'll be able to apply it all over. You see, that's why, like I said last time, you can make a structure of principles, not just of cases. And next to each principle in the structure, you have the cases that represent or manifest that principle. If you do this, you're analyzing, and remember, when you analyze, look for havchanos, categories, because everything has categories. And if there's a halacha, always ask yourself, this is a halacha in which category of that concept? Because a halacha will be in a category, and therefore, the concept itself, which category is it that this halacha is in? Very important idea. So
What do you mean
these
by
are
category?
What?
What do you mean by category?
Well, well, for instance, these two mishnayos. What's the category of these mishnayos? What is it?
Situational exemptions from Kriyas.
Exemptions. That's it. It's not about the text.
Right.
It's not about the recitation.
Oh, you mean that whole...
Yeah, exactly. That's the havchana
It's
is
a mitzvah exemption.
the exemptions. When do I have to, and when I'm obligated, and when I'm not. That's a category. It's a havchana of the whole area of Kriya Shema. You see, and then you won't get confused. If not, then you're like, and most people don't do that. They don't create a category and say, well, this is all about this, and that's very important,
Is the Havchana end up being the central idea?
The havchana being a central idea.
Or not
No.
necessarily?
No, not necessarily. The central idea is just the idea of what's
The
the
cases.
unifying idea of the cases,
But in
the
each individual
category,
halacha-
yeah,
Central idea area is always going to end up in a category.
the central idea area is the category.
Is a category.
That's right. That
And you
becomes
can
a
have a
category.
category of cases or category of principles.
A category of case. Yeah, of course, sure. Yeah.
The
Think
principle
categorically, think analytically, categorically, generally, and you'll be okay.
Okay, that was very precise.
What?
That was extremely precise.
Straight to the point.
So this was the final share, certainly for this semester. And
unless they launch a ground offensive.
did they launch a ground offensive?
Not yet.
It's unbelievable.
They did